we're trying Sam Billings again. He's a good stroke maker. I think we said it offline. I do think there's probably better choices out there.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Cricket Diaries podcast. Another week, another look back on the return to cricket. We've just finished the 3-match West Indies series. And I think before we say anything else, I think me and you, Ben, will speak on behalf of all cricket fans around the country. A massive, massive thank you to the West Indies for coming over. They've shown great spirit, great bravery in coming over at such a challenging time. And I think you just want to echo what I say, don't you, and say a big thank you to them.
Yes, and it's not just a real challenging year what they've had. It is obviously they was coming from the Caribbean, which had one of the lowest rates of COVID, coming over to one of the worst sort of like COVID regions in the world. So to be able to do that, a great load of gratitude to Jason Holder and the team there. I've seen he has mentioned obviously about the finances with West Indies cricket, and they only really make money when England and India tour. And I do feel like if there's any way for the ECB to fit in 2 or 3 tests, sort of like in the English winter, now we don't have the World T20. I think actually that'd be really fitting for us to do something. If not this side of Christmas, maybe next side, depending on the new tour. But yeah, really great. Obviously, a couple of the guys had young families, didn't want to tour. However, I think the team that came over, and the fact that they stayed in that hotel for months on end, so like 2 months they was cocooned away just with themselves. So real big thank you, and what a test series it was. It's really kick-started the English summer, and even though we lost the first test from an English point of view, we really sort of like fought back, and I think some obviously not following on from my own selection predictions, given the fact that I did say that a certain Stuart Broad was potentially past his time and didn't have a place in this England side anymore, and the fact that Jofra Archer is the new best bowler for us. I think obviously you were right, George, with your selection. You effectively turned the test series around.
Yeah, I'm expecting a box of chocolates and a bunch of flowers and the England cricket team as a thank you for my selection. No, I don't normally get things right, as I've alluded to before on this podcast. So yeah, I am reveling in it a little bit. I won't rub it in your face, don't worry. But no, I think I'm so pleased for Stuart Broad. It really, really annoys me, actually, how he is portrayed. You would think that him and Jimmy Anderson are the same age. I'm sorry, Jimmy is amazing. I'm never going to say he's not, but Jimmy Anderson is 38 years old. Stuart Broad is 34 years old. 4 years in professional sport is a very big difference of age, okay? He's no spring chicken. I'm not saying he is, but compared to Jimmy Anderson, he has got more longevity, and they're speaking about him as if, oh, he's got one more game in him and he might go kaput. No way. I think I understand that England should be looking over their shoulder for the future. I completely understand that, and looking for who's going to be our next 2 great tandem fast bowlers. But you don't do that in the first test of the summer. You don't experiment in the first test of the summer, I don't think. And B, look at what Stuart Broad has done. Okay, whole through his career, there'd be moments in his career that would kill a normal person's career, and he's bounced back. 2008 2020 World Cup, he gets hit in Durban, I think it was, 6 sixes by Yuvraj Singh. Right, that would kill most people's careers. He comes back. Trent Bridge, Australia, Ashes 2013. He refuses to walk. That sort of media pressure on him. He comes back. He came back when he got dropped in West Indies series 2 years ago away, and he comes back again this series. I mean, the stats show no other bowler in international cricket has taken more wickets in this calendar year than him, and he was our leading wicket taker last year. I think he deserves every little bit of praise he's getting now because he's been deprived of it for too long, and we need to respect and cherish him as a player.
Yes, certainly, and obviously he only played the last two matches, but the wickets he was taking, and we spoke before, to get average of 10.93 for anybody to be under 20. I think we spoke to it again before the series. We were sort of like looking at Archer hopefully going below 22. I did say obviously didn't happen, but we sort of like had that like average of, if you're below 22, you've got to have a really good series. Broad was half of that. It was unbelievable bowling throughout, and actually his selection in Test 2, the second Test, literally turned the series on its head. Yes, there was the batting of Sibley and Stokes in the first innings, and obviously it's a lot easier to bowl when you've got 500 on the board, more or less. However, what a it literally had, when rain could have ruined the third and final Test for England, it doesn't when you got a bowler bowling 11. Absolutely sensational. Really look forward to, and you want to know how far he can go. Jimmy 589, I believe, on the wickets. As he said, he's got 4 years on Jimmy Anderson. Broad, who's going to end up with the most?
I mean, my prediction is that right now Broad will end up with the most. I know that's not popular. I know not everybody believes that, but even if not, Broad's definitely getting to 600 like Jimmy. Definitely. I can't see why not. And also, you look at overseas cricket, we mentioned this offline, is that actually the adage is it's Anderson is better in home conditions with average and wickets. Broad is better away. And actually, if you look at the schedule of away overseas cricket we've got, tours to South Africa, tours back to New Zealand, the Ashes next year down under in Australia, that would probably suit Broad right now. If it was, and also the Gabba, for example, for that first Test in Australia, is one of Broad's best grounds. He's got like 11 wickets there. So right now, I'd probably rather pick Broad than Jimmy for that first Test in Australia next year. That's a massive statement, I know. But yeah, Broad's got the longevity and could, well, I mean, Jimmy's probably got the better chance. But if we sat here in 5 years' time and Broad had taken more Test wickets than Anderson, I would not be fully surprised.
Yeah, that obviously, if you look at it, 88, 89 wickets divided by 4, actually, you're only talking about just over 20 wickets a year needed. Stuart Broad's just taken 16 in the last 2 weeks. So, obviously, definitely that. Also, when you did say about Australia with needing Stuart Broad over there, obviously, if they got David Warner playing for them, definitely that's 10 wickets we can chalk up to Stuart Broad now, can't we?
Well, that is the person he has dismissed the most in international cricket, 12 dismissals. And I think 6 of them, half of them, came in last year's Ashes series. So just shows you everything, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I can't wait just to see Broad bowling back against Warner again and thing. And I think this last Test showed it's not just Jimmy Anderson and Broad with the likes of, obviously, me being a Sussex fan, always championing Archer. Wokes, again, I think probably the guy with the least amount of recognition ever in international cricket. He just seems to come in and sort of like as a change bowler. And also he's got his Test 100, he can carry the bat really well. Actually, I think I really liked in England playing with 4 seamers, not including Stokes in the last game. Yeah. So it shows that versatility we've got depending on what we need. We needed the result. We didn't know about Ben Stokes' fitness. Actually, Root, for all of this, I want to bat at 4. This is one thing that he decided to go up to 3 and nobody talked about that. It wasn't even sort of like in the press or anything, and he just done it and actually came in at 1 for 1. He did all right, and actually it was better for the team.
Yeah.
So, and I think that with Ollie Pope as well, doing really well. we said before, you said loads of times that obviously selection, you need to have players in their right positions. And obviously I wouldn't like to see him go from 6 to 3. However, actually, he seemed to be a natural at 5 as well.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like having that versatility and that bowling depth now, what we've got. So actually, if it is, we can play these 4 seamless in sort of like Wokes, Archer, Broad and Anderson when we need it.
Yeah.
So it's been a really great test series overall. I've loved it being back.
Oh, I think it's been an amazing series and really appreciate it being back. I think I always talk about the subplots, don't I, in a series and the different battles you get. Firstly, on the bowling side, totally agree with you with Wokes. Before the second test, he averaged 23 in England. I'm pretty sure it would be slightly lower now anyway. I think, given his performances, criminally underrated. I've always seen him as just an England conditions bowler, so I'm not sure what the future will hold in terms of the longevity of his career going abroad. That doesn't necessarily matter to me, though. If you've got bowlers that you know perform in English conditions, the conditions that are most susceptible to swing and sort of weather, then I'll be picking him all the time. He really impressed. Also, in terms of batting, I'm one who always goes, Root shouldn't be batting at 3, but I only say that because he puts the monkey on his back. He's the one who says, oh, I can't bat at 3 and all of this. But I think he's had a slight attitude change, which you need if you're going to be the captain of the national side. You can't have this attitude on you. And he played with freedom and didn't play with any pressure, and that was better for him. Pope, probably the best young talent England's got. Could see him there in 10 years' time, having over 100 test caps to his name and wouldn't bat an eyelid. Butler played well for his 67 in the first innings, but he hasn't quite got that big score that he's yearning for, that big 90 or that big ton that he needs to cement himself. So I'm going to look now at the Bob Willis Trophy and see if Ben Foakes, see if he gets any runs for Surrey. That'll be interesting to see if Foakes will be waiting in the wings. Another subplot. And the only other thing I would say about this series, I know we've mentioned him loads already in the 10 minutes we've just had, but Stuart Broad as a batsman, I loved that innings of him in the first innings. I mean, that quick fire 50 was, well, it was like going back to 2009 when he used to be called the Great Neil All-Rounder. It was quite something. And that just shows you that he's so up for it all the time. He's really plays for the shirt, which I know is a cliche, but it was a great innings. And I've got to tell you, Archer, I know you love, but Archer gets told he's a great batsman, but I can't see Archer producing that with the bat. Not that we should be choosing bowlers for what they can do with the bat, but
yeah,
right now I was very impressed with everything he did in that last test.
Certainly, and to be honest, we're talking about batting, the bowlers who can bat, and Archer can bat. I'm now convinced he can bat at a county level. Because when he's playing on wickets where you've got bowlers running in at sort of like high 70s, mid 80s, he looks a really good batsman. And you're like, actually, potentially could even make the team ahead of some of our batters. But Test, I don't think he's got, I don't think he's just got the patience to work on this game or the will at the moment with how good of a bowler he is becoming. I think he has gone in his head just going, I want to be Jofra Archer the bowler rather than Jofra Archer the all-rounder. So I would actually have him below Broad for the Pakistan series. If Broad can bat with the same, the freedom, he didn't look scared in this innings. For the last 5, 6, 7, however many years now, he seems to be always standing back, waiting for that sort of like that short pitch ball, just sort of like ready to sort of like duck and weave out of the way of it because he knows it's coming, rather than getting on the front and actually playing his shots, which when he does, he can play it really well. So it was great to just see Broad with that freedom of, I'm just going to go out and really enjoy myself.
Second, it's great to know that your tail has that mentality. I remember watching him at the last day of the Ashes. I went to the Oval, and it was obviously a dead rubber because Australia already won the series. But he came in, and I think we were 8 down, and him and Jofra were batting, and he just tried to keep playing the same like looped pull shot, short of a short delivery, and go it for 6. And he went to pull it for 6, and he did it once, and then it didn't pull off any other time. Then he got out. Here, he was a lot more patient, choosing his shots. That was great to see. I think England as a whole are in pretty good health. The West Indies series wasn't perfect, but now I know we got an England side who can come back from 1-0 down. That's quite reassuring. But let's be in no doubt, I think everyone's in agreement here that Pakistan will be a sterner test. It will be tougher. I think the West Indies played well, but I think the problem for them was their 300 team. And I've heard a lot of pundits say this as well. And, if you're not getting there, then it's very hard. And that's why they've relied on their bowlers too much. Winning the toss 3 times in a row, I think. And then electing to bowl first every single time, that's just going to make your bowlers so tired. I mean, poor Shannon Gabriel by the end could barely walk, the poor lad. So, I mean, I think we need to know that we're sort of going from a team that's improving to Pakistan, who, especially as a batting side, are very good, could challenge us with higher totals. But that's what we want to see. We want to see this England side pushed, and I think it's the right summer to do it. So it's going to be another cracking series.
Yeah, definitely. And just summing up, and it just sort of like, as you say, sort of like it did seem that Jason Holder didn't have faith in his batsmen, and actually, if they could have been putting 400 on the board, then it'd be a very different series. I think we could kind of play the last 2 games how we wanted to play, given the fact that obviously their batting, our bowlers did really well, but actually their averages show that it's not just over here they do struggle. But it was a great series to have back, and literally can't wait for the Pakistan series. Obviously, in between the Pakistan series, we have the Islands 3 one-day games at Southampton, which I'm sure we're both frustrated about for not it being so close, but yet so far to be able to get out there. Obviously, we've had the selection, and obviously we're recording this during England-Ireland first match, and just having a look now, Ireland's currently 90 for 7. So it seems to be quite one-sided to start off with, but obviously, as we know, obviously one day games can change match to match. But yeah, you excited to see one-day cricket back?
Oh, most definitely. The last one-day cricket match that was on home soil in England was the World Cup final 382 days ago. Probably have mentioned it before, but I was there. But no, that was a great day, and so it's great to be back. Obviously, in much different circumstances now. No fans, as you alluded to, and the biosecure bubbles. But really interesting, because what we're seeing now might just be the future of England cricket, where we're sort of seeing a separated test side with a one-day side. So I think it's 6 to 7. I think maybe 7 of the players who won the World Cup are involved in the test squad, or something, a number along those lines. So they won't be taking part in the one-day series. And then like Bairstow, for example, Moeen Ali, they're sticking with the one-day side. So quite interesting to see younger talent get a chance. Really interesting to see players who've really excelled in county cricket and franchise cricket come to the fore. Tom Banton, he's had a couple of bites of the cherry, a few England one-day caps, but he'll get a full series run now. Slightly, well, not concerned, because Roy and Bairstow are the best one-day and white ball opening partnership in the world right now, and probably the most successful one-day partnership we've ever seen. So they rightly open, but Banton he's playing at 5, I think. That might be a bit too low for him, but great to have him back. A lot of fans will shudder at despair when I say this, but I am a Hampshire boy, so I love having James Vince back. I think he's going to prove that he deserves that chance because he's at his home ground. I've just got a feeling, but I probably will have egg on my face on that one. unlike the broad decision. But yeah, it's great to have younger talent coming through. Morgan's still there, and it's going to be really good to see one-day cricket back, because that's what we excel at, and that'll be great.
Yes, and obviously being number one in the world now for a couple of years, and obviously having the World Cup win, it's great to see sort of like this team come through, and what this summer has given us with the Test guys out, and obviously a few of them will come back into this side, but it's given the likes of sort of like Banton a chance to come into the team, have a series. David Willey, who obviously would have been in that World Cup team if it wasn't for Jofra Archer. However, with that one, I would say it did make us a better team. But he's kind of had these sort of like broad-esque kind of sort of like morning so far. He's taken 4 wickets straight away, and it's just sort of like actually he's definitely got something to prove. But there are a couple of selection things. I'm sort of like, we're trying Sam Billings again. He's a good stroke maker. I think we said it offline. I do think there's probably better choices out there. I know it'd be a completely alien position for him to play, but I don't think he could have had sort of like a better run than getting 158 balls in the warm-up game for Phil Salt to not play. It's quite harsh not even to get into the full team. And we've also had Laurie Evans down. He's not been great. However, we know what Billings can do. He's not going to be a well beater in that England shirt. So would he have been an option to have in the middle order batting? It's something different. The only thing that does concern me though is having Reece Topley. He is fast, don't get us wrong, and we've however, to have somebody to bowl 10 overs, he's not playing in the first game. But obviously with the amount of injuries he's had, he played really well for Sussex last season, but that was only 4 over spells, or not even bowling 4 overs in an evening. But then he's having to come in and out, resting every other game. And I'm like, actually, yes, he's a good bowler, but this is a series where we got a chance to have a look at some people we could see for the future. Is Topley one for the future? For me, possibly not. But overall, though, it's still great to see the England side back together. And you said about Roy and Bairstow being the best one-day partnership we've ever had, possibly, and the best in the world at the moment. My big shout out for 5 years' time is Banton Salt at the top of the order once these guys go. So and we'll see what Vince does if he gets into bat. That is, it's going to be very hard if Ireland don't post some decent scores.
Exactly. I mean, his chance will come. Some people would say he's had too many chances, but I'm not going to let go of my man now. I'm going to stick with Vincey. But you make some really good points. I think the bowling is actually the most interesting aspect right now, because a lot of people forget that Liam Plunkett quite controversially got his contract ended after having a fantastic World Cup. So there is now that extra bowling space in that World Cup winning side now. So there is competition for places. Reece Topley, I think England would dream of having a left arm quick seamer in that variation, but I do think he's a bit too old. He's 30 now, and also you've had good times with him at Sussex, but being a Hampshire member, we had him before you guys had him, and he was injured the whole time. We had to release him. So I think there are better options. Saki Mahmood looks young and fresh. He's going well. Tom Curran alongside Liam Dawson were the two guys in the... Well, I know Liam Dawson's a spinner, but they were the two guys who were in the setup who just carried the drinks the whole time. They didn't play a single game during the World Cup or in the squad. So Tom Curran will have a point to prove. So I think the future's really bright there. And those sort of guys like Banton and then, Evans and Salt, and even people who haven't been picked, maybe more T20 players like Liam Livingston, people who were in the England setup a few years ago, who might get the chance to come back into these squads, who have gone and played franchise cricket. They've done so well. The only other person I was thinking of who hasn't been mentioned in the one-day squads might have been in our squad for the T20 World Cup, someone like a Harry Gurney or someone like that. Just those sort of players that are real T20 journeymen. I'm talking more in terms of white ball in general now rather than just one day, because we've got the World Cup for the T20 next year. He's a guy who is the only player in cricket history to have won the Pakistani Super League, the Bangladeshi Super League, the Indian Premier League, the Australian Big Bash, and the Vitality Blast in England. So, you know, there's players like that. And England have got a lot of hidden gems. So we'll have to see. The only other one I was going to ask you quickly is the elephant in the room with England is Alex Hales and the omission of him. Owen Morgan's been quite formal with his language, and they're obviously, it's a sort of issue for the England setup. They don't want him there right now. A lot of people say on his day he's the best white ball batsman England have, even now, since we won the World Cup. I would disagree with that. I wouldn't have him back personally, because I just think he has no respect for the England setup. But I would like to hear your opinion on Hales, actually.
With Hales, I think obviously my head says as long as Morgan's running this England side, he's never going to get within. He's got no chance of getting anywhere near a bubble.
Yeah.
And even of a 30, we could have probably a bubble of 100 cricketers, and Morgan still would not pick him. I think you've got more chance of picking me rather than Alex. However, for me, take Morgan out of the situation. And obviously, if I was chairman of selectors, God forbid, with my selection for the last Test series, would I have him in there? Yeah, I would. I watched him a couple of times and managed to get up to Trent Bridge for the semi-final against Somerset. And also I saw him at Old Trafford playing for Notts in a T20 against Lancs. And he is an absolute superstar of one day, of a white ball cricketer. He hits the ball a hell of a long way with so much ease. And yes, there is the case of what he did was wrong, but there has to be he served his time in my eyes. And actually, he's probably served so much time now that we might even be asking the wrong question. We might be asking the question: Would Alex Hales want to play for England again?
Very good point.
But yeah, I would. Would I pick him? I'd probably have him at 3. I'd kind of. Really sorry. You knew
it was coming, Ben. It was coming. I know.
I wouldn't have him in replace of Royal Bairstow, being the fact that they are the one and are the best openers in white ball cricket in the world, partnership-wise. However, I think if you're going to follow those two with anyone, just for pure entertainment factor as well, having Alex Hales coming out and really, I think, would make that a very, very strong batting lineup. But with England at the moment, you can choose about 30 or 40 to make into 11. There are so many. It's disappointing, but nobody thinks about Peterson another
Yeah.
And I feel like we lost probably through Peterson's own. That's a whole another story. But I think we lost 2 or 3 years at least with Peterson, and we've probably lost the best of Alex Hales now in an England shirt. But it just shows you, though, it's great. Get out, obviously, if we can, watch the blast. Watch him while we can over here.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I still think Hales is a cracking player. I just don't think he's right for England right now. Okay, I do believe in giving players a second chance. Ben Stokes getting dropped was the best thing that ever happened to him. So I totally understand that. But I think we need to embrace what you've just said, which is a fantastic point. England have got about 40 players of extreme talent who could fit into any sort of white ball 11. And yeah, that's a bit of a headache for the selectors, but what a great problem to have. A lot of people talk to me about England with cricket, and they go, "Oh, you're lucky, George. You didn't know what it was like growing up in the 90s when England were an awful test team." Fair enough, but I do know what it's like growing up as a child with an awful white ball and one-day team, because we did have an awful white ball team when I was growing up and when you were growing up. I mean, so now we need to really respect that we have got that great depth of talent, and this COVID brings challenges, but also brings challenges that we should embrace and be able to have a bit of squad selection and rotation. And let's see what talent England has got, and let's push those players.
And I think it's really crucial using years like this, having the fact that we had 30 down in Southampton as the training squad, yet we had 15 in the test squad up at Old Trafford at the same time. That is a huge amount of cricketers who, and nobody's in there to make the numbers up, I feel like. We could be talking all day about various players we all believe should be playing. And obviously, county bias is going to come into that. However, we've just really lucky. We've done very well to develop so many cricketers in this country. And I think it is due to the fact that we let these guys go around the world now with having the franchise cricket. A lot of people hate franchise cricket, but I think that's done tremendous kind of sort of like bringing these guys on.
Yeah.
And just the final point today, I'm really looking forward to it, even though there's a sadness that I can't go out to it. The fact that we've got the Bob Willis Trophy starting on Saturday. Even more exciting for myself, what I'm seeing is not only do we have the return to county cricket, but also we've got 2 extended trials going on now. So we had 1,000 at Surrey for their friendly against Middlesex. They're playing Middlesex at the Oval from Saturday, and I believe it's 2,500 can go in. And actually, I look at that number and go, that's the amount of supporters Sussex get out for a 4-day game. So actually,
Hampshire, yeah.
If 2,500 can fit into the overall and social distance, there's also a trial going on at Edgbaston as well between the Warwickshire Northampton game, and it's great to have fans back in to the grounds. Frustratingly, yet it's not Sussex or Hampshire for us. And on that, we've got our first sort of like in-house derby going on since we've been doing this channel. So have a quick, how do you think you guys are going to do? You didn't fare too well at Hove this week in the friendly, guys, did you?
Well, I actually think vice versa. I think it was, you guys gave us the chance to bat the day, but I think it was evenly matched just. But no, I think with Hampshire, I'm a little bit worried this year because we have it all the time. If Vince and Dawson get called up to England, then they deserve to be called up to England, in my opinion. But if they do, that's the part of our team sort of ripped out. And we can be a little bit too reliant on them. And also Carl Abbott, who is, on his day, the greatest seam bowler in county cricket right now. I'd say he took 17 wickets in a single match against Somerset, I believe, last year, which completely crushed Somerset's chance of winning their first county championship title. He is in South Africa and can't get back due to COVID regulations and rules. So we're a little bit devoid, but our young talent, we got a cracking academy, and I think those players, Joe Weatherly played very well and got a half century in the warm-up game against you guys at Hove. So I think that younger talent's going to come through. We're also not playing at the Ageas Bowl for our home games. We're playing at Arundel Castle this season because of the biosecure bubble that England are playing at the Bowl. So no, I think it's not our greatest foundation for success, but I believe in the boys. I believe in the young talent we've got, and I think we'll give you a game this weekend. So yeah, I'm going to say we're going to have a successful season.
Confidence, even though that was completely full of excuses of why maybe not.
You've read me like a book, then.
But what I'm looking forward to though, having here is just sort of like, and maybe it was a false dawn looking at the scores. Having a player like Harry Finch, so he's in his last year with Sussex, last year in his contract, not a white ball player at all, really. Plays a few one day games when we haven't got the strength in depth. And actually seeing him get 55 not out over the 2 innings. And also, did you see his catch, what he took?
Yeah, that was a worldie.
So try and link to that either in the description or try and get it on screen. That was an absolute stunning catch. And he's effectively got 5 games to save not only his contract, but probably his cricketing career. We've got a couple who are red ball players who are going to be fighting for their livelihoods for next season. There are going to be restrictive budgets coming into it, and they're probably not going to have the amount of the larger squads as what we've had in previous years from 2021. So actually, it's going to be really good to see what these guys do. And yeah, I just can't wait for county cricket being back. And again, I'll probably be full of confidence and find out that Sussex are choose to bat first, and then they're sort of like 38 for 8 at lunch on day 1. But yeah, I think we're going to have a really good go. And technically, we're in Division 1, I'm calling it, for this season.
Yeah, you are. So, make the most of that.
we've got a chance to win the trophy, and we're always better when we're playing sort of like we're a better one day side. But I'm going to call it we're a better side when we got a chance to win the competition. Yeah. So therefore,
because I think we're a better side when we got the threat of relegation, because you have a great start, then an awful middle, and then we realise you might get relegated, so we then put up an effort. There's no relegation this year.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, and it just shows how animated we are. Soon we're talking about our counties as well. It's great, isn't it?
It's the pride and the passion of it, isn't it? The banter, yeah.
Yeah.
And a Sam Northeast Century coming your way this weekend. Heard it here first.
Yeah, if it's on any Sussex ground this season, hopefully it's at Arundel Castle. Yeah. You're not playing us there. I would have been doubly upset if we were playing away at Arundel Castle in Hampshire. I'm not being able to go. But yeah. For anybody who's been watching, thank you, and check back to see one really unhappy face on the next episode. There's definitely some bragging rights, so thank you and enjoy.